introduced my guests who are going to help us understand that dilemma, what is not happening. Let me just take you through this. For 10 months now, medical interns have been waiting for deployment. In turn, these doctors have been seemingly feeling that it's long overdue, and this has led to protests within the city center of Kampala. Doctors under the umbrella body, Uganda Medical Association, have also asked government to communicate a clear timetable for deployment of medical interns. And of course, we want to understand why is the deployment not going on? If the deployment is to happen, where are they going to be deployed, and what are the modalities, especially when it comes to stipend and allowances? I'm now joined by the president of Uganda Medical Association, Dr. Edith Nakku Joloba, and Dr. David Mujema, an intern leader, to help us understand. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the program.
Thank you very much, Chris.
Let me begin with the intern leader, because you are in the eye of the storm.
That's right.
Bring us up to speed with where we are, negotiations with government, Ministry of Health, before I can begin firing the questions.
Thank you so much, dear viewers. Good morning once again. My name is Dr. David Mujema. I am a prospective intern and an intern leader. One, right now, government has not fully responded to us. That's for a fact. All we are operating on are promises, what we can term as empty, because they are not tangible. There's no commitment whatsoever anywhere written on the document. And this is what we have been demanding for all the time. The most recent is passing the national budget, and where we're not included. And that was also a very big shocker. Taking you back, the Minister for Finance, Planning and Economic Development, Honorable Machiaka Saija, had promised the Speaker of Parliament, on the floor of Parliament. The Speaker said, I've spoken to Honorable Machiaka Saija, is not around, but he promises that he would avail the funds. According to Dr. Chris Bariomonsi, was on national television, and he confirmed that Cabinet sat and promised that interns would be given money. That is after we had met the Prime Minister, the Right Honorable Robin Anabanja. And then she said there was no money for interns. And we really put up a serious fight with our elders, the Uganda Medical Association. We said this is unheard of, this is unthinkable. And then when they went to Cabinet, thank God, we think under the auspices of His Excellency, he guided that money be found, because he terms this as modern day slavery. So it's from that background that after the Cabinet sat and they approved, and the Minister for Finance committed that he would find the funds, he also committed to the Parliament. I even remember the State Minister for Health, Honorable Anifa Kawoya, pinning Honorable Minister Machiaka Saija that, please, you promised the Cabinet that you would avail funds. And from that time, Parliament, we stopped following in Parliament, went for recess. They went to Consequently, they went to recess. Returning from recess, it was passing the budget, where we were not included. Maybe the only thing they availed was the 22 billion, the areas of the outgoing lot that they had, they were left with, like they were demanding their 12th month. So us, we were not mentioned anywhere. And here we are again, no commitment on paper, no nothing, and now we are wondering what to do.
Interesting there. Allow me bring in your elder,
Yes.
Dr. Edith Nakku Joloba, President of the Uganda Medical Association.
Yes, thank you, Chris.
The issue of internship in the country is first confusing to the layman, but disturbing to the medical professionals.
Definitely.
First, bring us up to speed. What is the framework like? Who is an intern? When do they get deployed? What do they get? And what kind of work do they do?
Yeah, thank you very much, Chris. And thank you for having us here this morning. Good morning, viewers. Yeah, the issue of internship, when a person goes to medical school, like go to medical school for 5 years, usually in Uganda, you go to any of the universities we have in Uganda which are accredited, finish your medical school, hard work.
Those are 4 years.
No, 5 years.
5 years.
5 years of medical school.
Okay.
Written work, going to the wards. 2 years are usually preclinical, 3 years are on the wards. So at the end of those 5 years, they have the skills and they've passed the exams, but they need to work under supervision. So that's what happens. So internship is a time when you work under supervision under specialists.
The specialists. Those are the SHOs.
No, those are specialists in training. Specialists are actually surgeons who have finished and completed their work. They're usually consultants and senior consultants or associate consultants. So you work under them, but the SHOs are also in training for that to become specialists, but the interns are now working properly under the specialists to be trained so that they can be effective. And usually the SHOs are also on the wards training these ones alongside their seniors. So that's what happens. The intern, for medical intern, for 1 year, the medical doctor and nurse who has done a BSN, what they call Bachelor of Nursing Science, the pharmacist is working for a year under supervision. Hectic work. In the morning, I remember the first day I reported for internship, I didn't sleep. That was my first trans night. So that's what they do.
Okay.
They see the patients, then their supervisors come and look and say, okay, you did this right, you did this wrong, you should have done this, like that. For a year, and after that they get the license that allows them to work independently.
So right now, we don't have interns.
On the wards, we don't have any interns on the wards.
Across all government hospitals in the country?
Yes, we don't have.
The ones who would be interns right now
have
being described as pre-interns who are not deployed, but there's an offer for deployment if you can meet the cost.
Terrible.
How has that been received within
that has been terrible.
professionals?
I mean, as professionals, and thank you for bringing back me to the issue of professionals. As professionals and as a fraternity, medical fraternity, not only in Uganda but worldwide, people are in shock. They can't believe that Uganda, which has been on the forefront of medical science in Africa, Makerere University is one of the, actually used to be number 2, I don't know what now. We are the ones sending out the papers, we are the ones doing the science, cutting edge, oral prep, what?
All of a sudden we can't deploy.
Now we can't, I mean, it's unthinkable. So as professionals, we are in shock. Actually, and I think because of that shock, we took time to respond. We said it can't be. Everybody knows that interns are the babies, kind of, not the babies, they're toddlers in our profession who we need to help to be set on their feet. So they're going through kindergarten in order to fly. You cannot say you cannot deploy interns, then where is the doctor of tomorrow going to come from?
Wow.
So that is it.
I'll be returning to the intern leader.
Yes, sir.
I would like to use your good offices to help the average Ugandan understand this. If you say interns are the babies that need to be helped to fly, why would the healthcare system be entrusted to people who need to be trained?
Oh no, they don't need to be trained. They need to be licensed. Licensed. They are not babies as such. That's why I said not babies. I would say kindergarten, because the babies are the people in medical school. But if you want a child to walk on its own, you want to have that child. Okay, they are not children. Maybe I used a bad allegory. I should say
trainees.
They are the trainees. No, they are not actually trainees anymore. They are
doctors who simply need to be licensed,
supervised for a year. You work under supervision. So they are licensed. They are given a license, and that license they use it. That's why they actually have to be licensed before they go to the wards, because we know they are ready to treat people.
So what is the critical pain point?
The critical pain point.
What does the government want?
The government, I think, is challenged financially. I'm not the Minister of Finance, so I can't say.
Government has no money.
It looks like, I don't know whether they don't have no money, because I know they have money for many things. I know they have money for fuel. I see cars on the road. I see other people. Let's be honest. I think we need to apportion some of that money to the interns so that they can serve.
Let's return to the intern leader. After you've done your 5 years and you're due to be deployed onto the wards, what is the framework that is provided to you in terms of stipend, hours of work, and the extent of tasks that you're supposed to do?
An intern, I can tell you, does everything. Does everything that they are. Let me give you an example. You wake up from your home, which, by the way, accommodation government is saying is withdrawing. Now let's actually start with the stipend. We wouldn't be really fighting so hard to maintain this accommodation if government was having housing units, if government was providing any transport means, any kind of sensible food, I can say. Right? And any kind of...
You guys are eating posho and beans?
That's what, when we had a certain government leader was proposing that they would give us posho and beans, and that was very unthinkable. Like, I take an example. I am from Masaka, I'm born of Masaka, and then you deposit me or you allocate me, assign me to go and work in Kitugum for a whole year, 12 months. And then here I am, I do not know the language. Okay, that one I can negotiate. I don't have food. I don't have where to sleep. You get? But I have to wake up every 6 a.m. in the morning. I go to the ward. I see about 100 patients, 50 on female, 50 on male. I have to do all those surgeries you can think about. Someone comes with a traumatic brain injury. We have to go and do a bowel craniotomy. Someone has an intestinal obstruction. We have to go and do explorative laparotomy. Someone comes with how many scars we have again to do a Caesar under supervision supervision of a specialist. But then I'm going to work extra hours because you're not going to have the specialist be on ward from 6 a.m. up to 12 in the night. I'm having all these night duties. I'm having all. I don't have a weekend as an intern. Whoever comes on that regional referral, general referral, national referral, I am the first person to respond to all that trauma, to all the emergencies you get. But then the government says that we cannot give you this stipend. So we want to tell Ugandans, we are not greedy for
How
money.
much is on offer?
Right now, it is 2.5 gross to a medical doctor, to a BCHB, that is medicine and surgery. And I think in a pharmacist is also under a dentist, a dental surgeon, who is also a graduate, is to that amount of money. And a pharmacist, slightly below that. And then a nurse, also slightly below a pharmacist. We're even discussing scrapping this off, yet we're discussing even increasing it to what the president had promised. The president had increased, had ordered for an increment of this money from the 900,000 the interns were getting after he understood the plight. And he said this is modern day slavery. These young health workers cannot work under these circumstances when they're not earning anything. Maybe they would suggest scrapping off this kind of accommodation and stipend if we had housing units, if we had fuel. But imagine an ambulance brings a mother with a ruptured ectopic, a ruptured uterus. She's gushing, blood is gushing out of her. She's literally dying. And the first person they call is an intern to rush. How does that intern who has not eaten since morning come and again stand on table? What if she faints and then she has a mother who has a ruptured ectopic, a ruptured uterus? So you understand that all of this is going to strain our people out there. The end goal and the person who gets strained is the patient. Even if it's not the theater environment, it is a natural instinct by a human being to survive. Aren't you teaching these young people bad vices like extorting patients? Because they're going to start asking from patients 2,000, 5,000 to get what to eat.
All right, I don't have a government official here on the show, so I'll assume a position that is departing from yours.
Yes, please.
Government has offered to deploy some of these interns severally, and
without pay.
They have reportedly declined the offer. For example, he just told us something about he's born of Masaka and he's deployed in Kitgum. There could be problems with language, but as a professional, you can always get maneuver. You maneuver, and then feeding patterns and perhaps getting into how to relate with the society. What was the framework like in your time? When you rolled out for internship,
when I rolled out,
how much money was paid and at what intervals?
Yes, thank you very much, Chris, for that question, and thank you, Dr. David, for that very clear exposition of our terrible issue. In the past, and all over the world, you just, if someone is going to work for 24 hours on call, they may sometimes have when you're not on call every 3 days, that is when you get off work at 6. That's right. If you're a quick and fast worker. But on every other day, every other day on call, this is somebody who has to eat, has to drink, has to sleep. Actually, in my time, long ago, because these people, I could actually be their mom, and many of them call me mom, and I'm proud to be that. I was out on the ward on the first day, like I said, and I was assured of a bed. I was assured of a room there was a bathroom with running water. We had food that was provided for us in the mess, in the doctor's mess. That's why you hear always in many countries there's doctor's mess, because they know that doctors don't have time to
I've lived near doctor's mess in Galloway. And
that is what it was. That's where we used to live, and the interns used to live, and the SHOs used to live. And somehow over the years, we've become suddenly complacent. The very people who are trained in this system, which turned out such wonderful doctors that we have in the ministry and in every other place, seem to have forgotten their roots. And for that reason, we are lost. We are getting lost as a fraternity.
The government is failing to communicate its plight, and in a way would expect you to understand.
Perfect.
Them.
Thank you very much, Mr. Higenyi. I understand the government very well. I can put myself in their shoes. We've sat in meetings with government officials. We've looked at the tight budgets, and we understand. And we are asking them that they have put this on too suddenly. We need frameworks which we can now sit together and say, next year, for now, let us deploy these young doctors, because we are wasting a big resource. We are frustrating parents and children. We are frustrating even the healthcare system. This is what we are doing. So I'm saying, or we are saying, I'm not the one, Ghana Medical Association and other elders are saying, let us deploy these ones and know we have a problem. We already know it. We've written letters, we've written propositions and proposals of how to solve this. But we cannot solve it like this because these people are not ready. They don't have the resources. It's like throwing somebody out to the lions. I think it's gladiatorial, the way we have done this, and it is going to harm, and it's harming the medical profession. And actually many people have written letters, they've written, you've seen the Association of Surgeons have written, associations of gynecologists have written, associations of pediatricians, because we all know as medical doctors that this is what we have to do.
The permanent secretary in the Ministry of Health, Dr. Diana Atwine, has suggested, and she has been very candid about it, that some of the interns who want and are ready to support themselves can be deployed. How has this been received by the Uganda Medical Association?
Oh, yes. Oh, thank you very much for that question. Yeah, we did receive that, and we had sat in meetings with Uganda, with our permanent secretary and commissioner for clinical services, Dr. Ronnie, and the proposition was brought to us after the young people had heard about it.
That's right.
And it was totally, and we rejected it totally because it's not possible to separate, to discriminate professionals on account of their capacity to pay. It looks innocent on the top and it looks kind, but it's actually very detrimental to the society. It's like saying, oh, we have teachers who we want to send out to schools, but we are asking only the teachers who can afford to travel to Masaka to be the ones to go and teach our children. So automatically, that's when you put an economic criteria to separate a professional group, you're out. You're going to get, I can borrow money and come and be in the hospital, and then I'll do what I want.
No, the premise that the government bases on is the fact that since this is training, it pretty much works for the intern who's going to gain knowledge in order to be the complete doctor to begin earning the salary.
Okay,
that is the arrangement.
I see the premise. However, this is not training, this is licensure. It's like, this is licensure because they've already been trained, they are doctors. They can go to any country, but we don't want them to go to any country.
All right.
We want them to stay right here in Uganda, serve our people, because we need them here.
Dr. Nakku, allow me give Dr. Mujema the opportunity to wrap this up for us. I do not know whether there is an arrangement that allows the private sector to take on interns. Is anything like that possible?
I've seen the Uganda Medical Association, our elders, propose that actually if government is overly burdened, then it should allow the private sector to take over. But I think Ma'am can in a second also add used to that.
We actually, even right now, even in the years we're in internship, the private sector was involved in internship. Even right now, there are 53 internship sites, I think, but some of them are private sector. So it's already allowed. It's already allowed, but maybe what we can say is, can we do more in the private sector? But already the 53 internship sites.
There is collaboration already.
There is collaboration.
Maybe what he meant, Ma'am,
to take it over completely.
For them to be the ones paying the interns and accommodating them and all that.
We can talk about that. Yes. We can talk about that.
It's not happening, but we
cannot
can
talk
have
about
a
that now. It should be later. Deploy these ones out, send them out, then we talk.
But also,
we don't have a lot of time. All the issues have been excavated, and I hope that the messages can be amplified further on our social media platforms. I would like to thank Dr. David Mujema, an intern leader, and of course the president of the Uganda Medical Association, Dr. Edith Nakku Jalova, for the perspective. Many thanks. Now, as we wind out, or rather wind down the show, and just allow me do the last ritual and look at